The 2024 MLS Cup is set after several weeks of upsets aplenty. A playoff tournament that seemed like it was never going to end. The international week. I mean, think about when these playoffs began back in the wild card. I mean, it felt like the end of summer. It was a long time ago. But here we are. And we embrace these playoffs because they are ours, right? And it's different than anywhere else in the world. And a reminder about MLS, this league is still in diapers, so we can't compare it to the Premier League or La Liga or Argentina or Brazil. We are our own animal, and we are seeing those qualities develop within the league that suggest the growth is there in the fan culture, in these amazing stadiums, in the quality of player, the academies, all of that. It's moving in the right direction. And now we have the showpiece event. For the first time in a decade, it's two inaugural season members from 1996, the Red Bulls, the New York Red Bulls, then the Metro Stars, taking on the LA Galaxy. There were 10 teams back then. Tampa Bay Fusion got contracted, so only 9 original members. I don't think the league's going to contract anymore, even though there are some candidates, but this is who we are. We're going to have 30 teams next season when San Diego FC arrives. So we get to delve into our history a little bit by having original members. And when I think of 1996, again, a young league, but we're going to complete our third decade here soon. And the history matters. So we are going to preview that game coming up on Saturday, December the 7th, 4 o'clock Eastern time. You can see it on Apple TV. I want to give a shout out to everyone on Apple TV during the conference finals. Did a great job making it feel urgent, the storytelling. And as I believe, just like the NFL, the conference final, now it's not the Super Bowl or MLS Cup. That's the biggest showpiece event. But the biggest day, the most exciting day for MLS, like the NFL, is conference final weekend, where you get 2 games. We are supposed to be engrossed in both of them. 4 teams battling to make that championship game. Because even if you lose an MLS Cup, you don't want to miss out that chance in the conference final. You don't want to lose MLS Cup, but you don't want to lose in the conference finals. That is the worst. So break down the final, everything that's happening in MLS here on the Soccer OG. Like and subscribe, smash that button. We have a lot of great videos. We're going to end 2024 with a bang. We're going to be in 2025 and look out. A lot of fun stuff for all of us who consume this sport. So here we go. LA Galaxy, who have won MLS Cup 5 times. They are the gold standard. They are not surprising that they made it here, even though we had a surprising playoff with the upsets. Inter Miami obviously was supposed to be here, and Columbus Crew. We absorbed these shock results, but we should have expected that. This is what a playoff format does. Than LAFC, but remember, LAFC and the Galaxy were right there, and I think a lot of people thought the Galaxy had a better team than LAFC. So you get one of the big clubs in there, and then you get an intriguing team in the Red Bulls, who have never won an MLS Cup. They are making their first appearance, and they're only second overall since 2008, and I remember that game because I was there in Salt Lake City for the Western Conference Final. I know what you're thinking. How could the Red Bulls be there? Well, this is part of our weird, unique history that I like to lean into. And I remember that game. I broadcast it with Kobe Jones. I was rushed down after the game to get the Western Trophy, to give it to Don Garber, to give it to Juan Pablo Angel, to crown them the Western champions. They would go on to play at the Home Depot Center, as it was called, and lose to the Columbus Crew when we had a neutral site MLS Cup Final. So that's changed too. Man, you start thinking about it, it's crazy. And, this is, my life has had MLS in it for as long as I can remember. So it's very near and dear to me. So we have the charter members, which is a good story. I like that story. We have the most successful team and one that just hasn't won anything. Another interesting story. The one I don't like, and I've heard some people mention it, but I think people are smart enough to avoid it. New York versus LA. We just had the Yankees-Dodgers, and to compare this in any way to that is insincere and really unfair to these two clubs. And I would just like to avoid it, even though I'm mentioning it here. Also, the Red Bulls play in New Jersey. yada, yada, yada. So it's not a perfect comparison or storyline. So I'll mention it now, but we will move on. And I haven't heard too many people bring it up. There's always this belief about New York, LA, just bringing it up another level. The rest of the country doesn't really care. So, water under the bridge. We move on. So let's get through these games. Let's start with the Red Bulls. And some of the interesting storylines from the conference final Saturday are the teams that lost. In Orlando City, I mean, this was a really bad loss for them. They must have thought they were going to win this. Having seen the top 3 seeds in the East get knocked down, they get to host the Eastern Final. It was a gift. And they just were second best throughout. And now looking at the Red Bulls, you have to see a team that was the 7th seed in the East, which is the lowest seed to make an MLS Cup ever. Remember, we're always growing. They were a good 7th seed. We know we have too many teams in the MLS Cup playoffs. They're not going to lower the amount of teams who make it. Maybe it goes from 18 to 16. But with these teams, you look if they have worthy credentials. And the Red Bulls just were above that line. They had 11 wins, 9 defeats, 14 ties, which is an astronomical amount of ties and a really bad habit. Plus 5 goal differential. Hey, good enough to make the playoffs. I have them no issue, but nobody picked them. But they were the best team in the East. They beat the reigning champion Crew in 2 games, so they were never in peril in that series. They played New York City FC, who were up 2 goals in the first 25 minutes. That was over. And they were never in threat of losing this game against Orlando. They had that great goal from John Tolkien to Andres Reyes. Andres Reyes is a really interesting story. He was, he's kind of lost as a player, but now he's this big center back type player that they could sell. I mean, he is a really big prospect now. And the Red Bulls, just 3 clean sheets in this postseason. They were never in peril. So they were the best team in the East, led by Sandro Schwarz, a German coach, and Emil Forsberg, this Swedish player who came from one of the other Red Bull teams. This is a great story for Red Bull. I mean, they are a big brand. They have soccer teams here in the U.S., a couple teams in Brazil. They have one in Germany, which is very successful, and they have one in Austria. So, right now, this Red Bulls is the hot property based on what they are doing. So great news there. We've talked about the past. You want these big-name European coaches or South American coaches to come to MLS for this challenge. Sandro Schwarz looks like he's really enjoying it. I love how he's dressed on the sideline like he's just working on his car or something. And then Emil Forsberg. And I believe other coaches and players are going to look at that and say, I want to challenge myself there. And I want to live in the United States, and I want to be part of this growth of this league and play in these great stadiums. So great news there. The other good story about the Red Bulls, and something teams across MLS have to do a better job, but we have some teams that do a nice job of it, is homegrowns, academies, developing players from their area. The Red Bulls have done a nice, very nice job of that. Their shining star, Tyler Adams, who was with the team, they have many more successful ones after that. But you also have a group now, John Tolkien, who's probably going to move in the winter, I think. I mean, he's great fullback with a free kick specialty. Daniel Edelman, the Nealis brothers, Cam Harper. I mean, almost half of their starting 11, homegrown local guys. So we need that. We see it in Philadelphia. We see it with Seattle Sounders. We see it with FC Dallas. But we need to keep doing that because we know there's talent in this country. We've got to give these kids a pipeline. We've got to pay them so that they stay in this country with this sport, at least for a little bit of time. We want to encourage them to play in Europe. If you're a young player in this country, you should want to play in Europe. Maybe until one day where MLS makes a big shift and it's, the money's too good to pass up and the prestige as well. So they have a chance to lift that first trophy. I'm excited about them. I wouldn't underestimate them at all. And what they did, I mean, they made Columbus look bad. They're city rivals, New York City FC, who's got this new stadium on their way. They've been in their shadows. What a fulfilling run for them. And then just putting a wrecking ball through Orlando City. Will Orlando City get another chance like this? They blew it. they blew it. So congratulations to the Red Bulls, a worthy finalist. Over on the West, the LA Galaxy were dominant in the postseason. And as I mentioned about Emil Forsberg, Ricky Puig, who came over to the Galaxy at a young age, you could see how invested he is. And now we have this news about Puig, torn ACL, will not be able to play in MLS Cup. His work got this team to this stage. We got to find more Ricky Puigs. There's no more Lionel Messi's out there. Maybe you can get Cristiano Ronaldo. Maybe you can get a big name like Kylian Mbappe, although he's nowhere near those two. So the Ricky Puigs, intriguing, talented, young age, come here. Dedicate a big portion of your career in MLS. Great signing. Unfortunately, we won't see him in the final, and it is also going to really handicap the chances for the Galaxy to win it. But this is a team, Will Coons, good friend of mine, worked with him at LAFC, came over to the Galaxy, and they got two big DP signings, wingers, spent about $25 million in transfer fees for Gabriel Peck and Joseph Paintsil. They were able to develop some good people. They were savvy in the marketplace. Dejan Joveljic, who doesn't get enough credit, 15 goals in the regular season. He had 5 playoff goals, including the one in the 85th minute to beat the Sounders, who were gaining momentum and looking towards extra time and their chance to make MLS Cup. He got it done. That was a huge goal, especially if the Galaxy win it. You would look back at that Joveljic goal as something significant. Now they get a chance to win a 6th MLS Cup, to put one after, a dire decade after the departure of Landon Donovan and Robbie Keane and David Beckham. And you also got to see that they play at a 27,000 seat stadium. That place has been packed and rocking. That's great news. And to keep building these clubs, this is, it's going to make things very interesting. My favorite storyline, perhaps, of this Galaxy team, John McCarthy, who came off the bench to replace the injured Maxime Crépeau in the 2022 MLS Cup Final and take care of business in the penalty shootout. He has a chance to win MLS Cups within 3 years for the two LA teams. So 2025 is going to be massive. Let's enjoy MLS Cup. But I believe the purse strings will be loosened. The salary cap will get some adjustment. And even teams that are on the back burner that we don't consider the big clubs, they're making moves. Everyone's invested for next year. Look at the Red Bulls. We already have word that Eric Maxime Choupo-Moting was playing at Bayern Munich, is going to come over as a free agent. There's a couple of new young signings that they're looking at. Javier Mascherano's already made a wish list of players he wants when he takes over Inter Miami. San Jose and Bruce Arena, everybody is going to be invested. And San Diego's going to hit the ground running. LAFC is going to want to get back there. And the Galaxy are going to want to protect what they have. So 2025, I know it's going to be a lot of fun. 2024, while you didn't get the dream final, you get a pretty darn good one. Even without Ricky Puig, I believe the Galaxy are going to find a way. Let's say 2-1. But again, this Red Bulls team has been so impressive about how they've gone about their business. Just comfortable in their own skin and taking the initiative and not looking back. And they will be inspired by facing a shorthanded Galaxy team. It's going to be fun. LA has been the epicenter, the lion's den of MLS play, and it will be again. And SoCal and San Diego will continue to push that as well as we look forward. So, and look, as I said, in closing, one thing that we like about MLS is you've got to embrace what it is. It's our league. It's different. I believe you also have to imitate what the world is doing because they've gotten it right for so long. And we've already heard this story about MLS adjusting to the fall-spring schedule, which I believe they're going to do it in the next couple years. And I know MLS is going to look at ways to accentuate this league. And I truly believe, not right now, probably 10 years, they will look at promotion relegation. It will come at some point. I don't know that for sure. I just think it's some MLS looking to get a bigger footprint. They'll say, let's bring in promotion relegation. I want to talk more about this in a future show because nobody has done it in the United States. And other leagues will look and say, that's interesting. Not that they'll do it, but that's interesting, and that'll get them some traction. So you got to balance everything there, the good and the bad. The Soccer OG, enjoy MLS Cup, Saturday, 4 p.m. Eastern Time on Apple TV. We'll be back to recap it all and bring you all the sights and the sounds and get you ready for 2025. Like and subscribe us here. Hit that like button. We'll see you soon.